Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Really excited to talk to you. We were just talking briefly before we started recording about kind of a shared experience that we've both had, which is going through a divorce and maybe some level of financial dependence or financial security as a result of that relationship, and then, being on our own. And I think that's a situation that a lot of women find themselves in as well. So I would love to start there before we dive into all things money, financial mindset, scarcity, abundance mindsets, all of that.
All the things.
Yes, all the things.
It's so funny you say this because not so funny because I was doing my hair earlier to come here, and the thought hit me that, the life that I've created right now for my children and I is just so extraordinary. Like, money's not an option anymore to do anything we want. We're going to, we're flying to Paris and Europe next week, and a week from now. And we fly first class. We have just amazing life, but I just remember I was going through my phone on the way here, looking for something to send to my team. And I saw pictures of screenshots I took of my account, 6 years ago. And it was pathetic. It was so bad. It was on life support. And to think that where I am now, I think one of the things as women is we are raised with society telling us that the only way we can have that dream life is if we're partnered.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have someone taking care of us and providing it for us, which men should provide for us. But it's like, that's the only way you are going to succeed or have success or have anything is if a man brings it to you, because men know how to make money. And I feel like I've completely changed that narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And if more women can see the power that's within them of what they can create, and they have a different association with success and money, they would change the outcomes of what they can do in their lives. I do believe there's a string there of why women do things and why they don't.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that string is?
So, safety and protection, like feeling safe in the ability to create wealth, to have it, to keep it, to take care of herself, to defend herself, to, be okay. And we look to other people, and especially men, for that. Now, I have a whole thing which we're going to get into, but I believe that money is masculine for us. And I feel like the way we receive it's in our feminine. And if we are looking at the money being masculine, we're either chasing it or we're allowing it in. It's not both. So if we're always looking for the safety and security, and after divorce, that's the scariest time of your entire life. I think I've had anxiety maybe twice in my life. Once when I gave birth, and the second when I knew I was going to get divorced.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh, who's going to take care of me kind of thing. Because in our relationship, my money was the fun money and his money was the provider money. For 1 year after when I was doing this work, it took me a year to break the belief that I could provide for myself. Even though my mother was a breadwinner in the family, and my great-grandmother, my grandmother, all of them, they made money. I just didn't feel like I could do it because the way it was set up before, I didn't have the belief. But as soon as I switched that belief that I could also make money and I could also take care of my children, it was game on.
Yeah. Yeah. It is a terrifying thing. And I started laughing when you said that your money was the fun money and his money was the provider money. I had that fear too. And I was in a position when I was going through my divorce where I was making a lot of money. I was making 7 figures a year, but he was a billionaire. And despite the money that I was making and the capacity to earn and my mindset around money, I still had this paralyzing fear that I wasn't going to have that safety net anymore.
Absolutely.
And it's so interesting. Everything that you're saying is resonating so much, because even though we have this incredible capacity to earn, right? There is still this belief that a man has to provide that for you.
Well, yeah. And I've had so many clients that have come to me and they have their MBAs. These are successful women. And their father told them, make sure you marry rich because, or else, make sure you get someone to take care of you or else. And it is the fear, because money doesn't change us. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It's almost like I was telling one of my team members yesterday, and when I was showing her these screenshots of my account being on life support, I was like, I had to go down to a place where my safety was shaken. So I knew that I could make it back up again. It's almost like you hear these stories where people hit rock bottom. Okay, well, this is the place. All right, well, I can survive from here. And if I know I can survive here, then let's game on, And I think
Absolutely.
It's the fear of getting down to being so broken, or to a place of having more days left in the month and having to use credit cards to get by, or, and I was so proud. I would never ask anybody for help. And now my bank account is flourishing, and, I've made millions since then. But being able to take away the fear of not having is what I believe gets you safe with the having, because the fear is going to live in you always, like a continuous thread all the time. be worried. People, I know I have clients that have money and they're afraid to spend it. They're afraid to invest it, to use it. And I feel like that's the worst type of broke that you can be.
Yeah.
Because you just don't know that more is coming, which I say all the time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I see it among some extremely wealthy people that I know too. It's almost like the more they have, I mean, I'm talking extreme levels of wealth, the more they have to lose. And there is this like paralyzing fear, which is so interesting. And my mindset around money, I don't know why, has always been kind of like fast and loose. Like I just always have believed that it'll come and I spend it and I believe it'll come back. And for the most part, it has. I don't know where that comes from. I definitely also have some scarcity tendencies that maybe we can get into today as well. But back to what you were saying about the rock bottom, I mean, I'm sober 10 plus years. And as you were talking, thank you, about how you almost had to get to that place. That also resonated a lot with me because I think rock bottom can be such a powerful thing. I think it was the greatest thing to ever happen to me. And it's turned into such an asset. And I always say, like, I have to hit rock bottom with whatever it is that I'm dealing with. Like, I've had to hit rock bottom with health stuff, with like exercise, over exercising, you know, until I ran myself into the ground. And then I was willing to do something different and change my perspective. And I'm curious to hear, when you were at your rock bottom, what were some of the first things that you did to get yourself out of that in turn changed your mindset around money?
This is, I believe everybody can adopt this, will be a game changer. Like, and I do agree with you. I do believe some of the wealthiest people I know have the most scarcity mindset because money doesn't change it. They know how to make money, but they don't know how to be in that relationship. So what I had to start doing was become the wealthy woman before I had the money come in. I had to start having that mindset that I was rich and wealthy prior to. So what would a wealthy woman do? How would she act? When my account was withdrawn, you know what I was taking pictures of? That it was $11.11 in there. And that's what I was celebrating, although the withdrawal was happening and withdrawal was happening. So I was looking for the gratitude. What could I be grateful for with what I have now? And I started acting like her. I started, adopting a wealthy woman mindset now. Like, how does she carry herself? She doesn't wear ripped underwear. She doesn't, she has high standards. I started going to places, even if I couldn't get the whole meal, I would go there. And I had money before, but it wasn't my money. It was our money. It was different kind of money, and I wanted to be able to provide for my kids. So I'd go to restaurants and I wouldn't maybe have a full meal. I'd go sit at the bar and I'd have an appetizer, but I would just put myself in the environments of what it felt like to feel wealthy. Whatever could make me feel wealthy, I put myself into that state of. So maybe it was tipping extra, even when I didn't have a lot, because the wealthy version of me, that's what she would do. Maybe it was buying someone's drink in the Starbucks drive-through because that's what my wealthy self would do. Giving is showing that I know more is coming. Instead of holding on to the little bit that I did have, I was living in the excitement of more. And I found everything to be plus in my life instead of looking what was missing, because I knew that if I had an abundance mindset, I would attract more. So instead of looking at my bank account and laughing at it, I took screenshots of it and I said, okay, I know this is going to be part of the big story that I'm going to tell later on. And let me just use this as a stepping stone. This is really hard for most people because they always look for what's missing. And I look at the cup not half full or half empty. I look at it as overflowing. So how many things in my life can I be grateful for in a day? And I know people talk about gratitude, but I practice it every single day because you can't be in lack when you're in gratitude. So what could you be happy for? You woke up today, you have a cell phone in your hand that probably cost $1,000, the shoes. And then I started believing that money was always there to support me. And that shifted me into not looking at my reality saying, well, girl, look at your bank account. Like, this is bad. Instead of being like, well, look at all the other things that I do have. Look at the things that are coming into my space that I can be so grateful for.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a healthy, delusional state of being.
It really is. And I couldn't, because I knew what wealth was like before, but I didn't know how it was without someone taking care of me. And so either my mother or, my ex-husband, and I wanted to create it on my own. So I knew it existed. I just had to tap in. And then I would look at what other women had. And instead of being jealous of them, I would go, oh, she can, I can. And they just inspired me and showed me that there was another way. Like a woman I would follow, she had Cartier on her wrist. And I was like, oh, one day that's going to be me. And so guess what? I have a Cartier on my wrist. I saw another one driving a G-Wagon. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have one of those. I have that now. Oh, I want a Rolex. Or I want my kids to fly first class. And, I just started implanting the belief that it was there for me instead of being in the envy or jealousy of or the poor me version of me, because that wasn't going to get me anywhere.
Yeah, I think so many people have that attitude though of jealousy, comparison. I also know that you've talked about how, for men, being wealthy is like the pinnacle of success. But for women, being wealthy, you're seen as a gold digger, you're seen as cold. Like it has a negative connotation with women. Whereas with men, it's such a positive thing. So let's peel that back a little bit.
Yeah. Men get together, they talk about their stocks and they talk about their trades and they talk about money all the time.
Yeah.
But if we do, it's like, okay, well, are you taking care of your kids? Like, what are you doing right now? So that's why, I came up with this term and I named my podcast after it, but unapologetically rich. Because I believe that we all get to be unapologetically rich. And for most women, they are going after the money because they need it or it's validating something that's not full inside of them. Because we go back to the masculine conversation. A lot of women that are highly successful, what comes with it is the need for validation. So it fuels their success and their achievement. And it's never enough. So it's like, I need more, I need more, I need more. And even when they hit 1 million, they're like, okay, that's not good enough. I need to keep going.
Yeah.
And so when they learn to find that fulfillment inside of themselves, which I believe is that feminine energy that comes in, the knowingness that like, what's my purpose in this life? How do I feel completely fulfilled? Then things will change for them on how, they do things. And for men, they are providers. So inherently they want to make money to take care of whoever. But for us, it's like, well, you should be wanting to have babies and stay home and you shouldn't be out there being successful. So I think women can be successful, can be soft, can be powerful, and still have it all. There is deeper work to go in. Like, why do you want the money? Why do you want the success? Before I used to do the do, have, be, and it's supposed to be, if you've heard of the saying, it's be, do, have. You've got to, that's what self-development is all about. Like you've got to be the person, be, do, have, and then do the thing. And then you can have the success or have whatever. But for me, my old self, the unawakened version of me, I would go out there and I would have go out there to achieve whatever the success, the material thing, the degree. And then it will make me feel like I'm important. Then it would make me feel like I've had success and achievement, but that never ever sticks and it never fulfills. So that is wealth, is for finding what is inside of yourself that makes you feel so authentically who you are without having to change, how you be.
Yeah. And you've said like everybody can be wealthy, right? And is that more about your mindset than what's in the bank account, or is
100.
it both?
I feel like wealth is a state of being. Like you just told me you were 39. That kind of blew me away, right? And I mean, is that not something people are seeking? I mean, some people are paying endless amounts of money to have that beauty and to get time back. And so wouldn't that be wealth? And money sometimes can't buy that. I feel like I've mastered my emotions. And it took a really long time because we don't have time to get on that, but I was in a place where my trauma was leading my life. And I feel like I'm aging backwards now because I've healed. I can say that now. It took me over a decade to heal that. And so I feel like that's my wealth. That's my power. I can walk into any room or go anywhere and I'm okay with being myself. I don't have to wear a mask anymore. Like that's money to me.
If somebody is listening to this and they are like, I don't have the money in the bank account, I have 1111 or not even overdrawn and debt, and I don't feel like I have beauty or health or any kind of superpower, what advice do you have for them?
Start with the superpowers you have now. Because if you don't start with that, then you're not going to see how great you are. Because I think everybody has something that they can be appreciative of life. But if you are always seeing the negative or what's missing, then start working on your healing. I would write out a list of, what scarcity thoughts you have and be real with yourself. Like, are you judgmental towards other people? Are you jealous? Are you the first person to say something negative? Do you feel like, rich people are bad? Do you feel like, it's impossible for me? Write them all down and witness those belief systems and then try and turn them around and see if you can have a new thought. And if you can't do it on your own, then borrow a thought from someone else. Because if someone might be similar to you, like look what they could do. That's what I had to do. Because it could literally look at the divorce, which was so shameful at the time. And, lots of judgment came to me because we were like the couple everybody thought was the one that was going to make it. We were the power couple and what, they got divorced, And so I had to really not having a ring on my finger anymore. There was a lot of things that went with it, like I failed.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful. My kids all the time say to me, it's like, so happy that you did because look where you are. So find where the things are in your life that might be looking like they are not the most positive right now, but find the gem in them. I feel like once I was able to rewire my belief systems like that, to find the good in everything, and even if when at the moment you might not be able to, you will find there's so many lessons and richness and wisdom and things that are going to take you to that next level. Even when you don't have the money in the bank account, like for me, I saw the 1111, I screenshot it because I got excited about it. It changed my state of being. And so then it worked on my emotional state. And when your emotional state can be in alignment with the having of more or whatever you want to create, you're going to attract that into your life. But if you're looking at what's wrong and what's missing, you're going to have like a crater hit it, like a big hole. And how are you going to, I really feel like this is the key to aging backwards, to having more success. For me, everybody keeps telling me I'm looking younger and younger. And I'm like, okay, yeah, because this is working.
Can I ask you how old you are?
I'm 52.
No way. No way.
Yeah.
I would have thought like max 42.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay.
I feel young.
Yeah.
Well,
you can tell. You have like
it.
a vibrant spirit.
If you have emotions that are unsettled in you, they create dis-ease in the body, and dis-ease turns into disease. And if you are letting those things run rampant, they're creating thoughts that are sabotaging you and not allowing you to go live your dream life or have the things that you want. And so my whole goal was, I'm going to get this stuff out of the way. Like when I got separated, instead of going out and doing what my girlfriends were doing, which was dating, and I had a moment where we all had that little fun, it lasted a very short period of time. I realized I had to go to monk mode and figure out, why did my marriage fail? Like what happened? And when I realized that it was both of us, it was me too, it wasn't just the marriage. Marriages don't just break down. It's because of something that's happened within us. I went and worked on myself, and I worked on myself, and I worked on myself. And I realized that all of the society things that were creating the lens that I was looking through, my past experiences, that was what was stopping me from having everything. So if I could go master my emotions, heal through the stuff, then I would have whatever I wanted. So I became self-accountable and no longer a victim, because when you're a victim, you're going to, and this is not saying you can't be victimized, but when I no longer was a victim to what was happening in my life, then true power came in for me. And then I had power over money, because when you have power over yourself, you have power over everything else, including money.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. So maybe get into that a little bit more. I would love to hear that. And I know that you've said like making money is not even about the money, right?
No.
So how are those things linked?
So a lot of the times success is driven, I believe, for people because it makes them feel a certain way. Anything is to make us feel a certain way, right? So let me have this Lamborghini. It's going to make me feel what? Let me have, the young looking face is going to make me feel this. I was a bodybuilder for so many years, and it was supposed to bring me a feeling of control over my life. It was grounding me. It was make me feel strong, that I could protect myself. And whatever it is the feeling of having it. So what do you want to feel? And most people can't identify with what they want to feel because they're so disassociated from their emotions, because they've learned to self-regulate in a dysregulated system, and once we learn to really work on regulating our nervous system, we don't have triggers anymore, because our triggers can literally control everything we do in our life. We'll go and create what we want instead of going after money to fulfill us in a negative way. Like I was telling you, the have, do, be. We'll go and create money for whatever it is experience we want to have. It'll come from a different place. So just to get clear on it, I feel like if we learn how to determine what we truly desire, not because it's what a goal we want to check off our to-do list, because most women who are in their masculine, and I have a lot of clients that are doctors and lawyers and engineers, and they're all they're high performers, they're success driven. They think that it's a thing that I have to go do. And I'm always want to explain to them, it's when you're being. And if you can be in that state, then you're listening and tapping into the truth of who you are. Those emotions, they will dictate how much money you have or what wealth you want to create. Is a private jet going to make you feel full? This is why people have so much success, but they're taking their own lives because they don't have that peace. I had a breakdown moment on a yoga mat like 11 years ago. And I realized that my life had to change because I had all the things you were supposed to have and what they told you were supposed to have, the checklist, the kids, the husband, the businesses, the life. And I realized that like I was unfulfilled still. Like something was missing deep inside of me. And I've been searching for that for a decade, and I found it. And I'm so fulfilled. So that to me, when you have fulfillment, you then will have power over other things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And men don't get that because they don't allow themselves, not all men, majority of men, because they're not taught that their emotions mean anything. Like none of us who grew up where someone said, hey, tell me how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, how fast can you go to do it?
Yeah.
Can you be, like big girls don't cry. Like how, let's see what you can do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
We were told to achieve and do, but we weren't told to be and feel. And that's power.
Such an interesting shift. And even as you're talking, I'm like, what do I want to feel? I don't know, because I still think about goals and objectives and more like tangible things and not how do I want this to make me feel? And to rewind a little bit, I mean, I've talked about this before on the podcast, but I also had that moment when I was like in my marriage, and this is nothing against him and, anything like that, but it was the private jets and the multiple houses everywhere and that whole lifestyle. And I shared this when we got divorced, but like I would wake up at 4 a.m. and my first thought was, I hate my life. And then my second thought is, what is wrong with you? You have everything. You should be grateful. The pouring the shame on top of that, you too. Yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, what's next?
Yeah.
What else? I feel like I created all the success and it was a colander.
Mm-hmm.
It was just pouring right through.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing was collecting for me to go, oh, this is what, this feels so good. I feel satiated. I feel full. And that's when I realized why so many successful women and men don't ever celebrate anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they have a birthday just to have the birthday, but they don't really celebrate or, look how far I've come. It's like, look how far I have to go. And to me, I celebrate everything and my kids and my team. And, and celebration to me is like the form of gratitude. Like, look how great I can feel. And if I die tomorrow, what did I leave today? Like, I don't want to be leaving this lifetime not feeling full.
Mm-hmm.
And it was missing that fulfillment. And when we get out of the head and this is where spiritual awakening comes in for yourself, which happened to me. And I went on, we don't have a lot of time for that, but I realized that my soul was speaking to me all the time. I just wasn't listening. And things couldn't fulfill that. Like my spiritual teachings had to do that. Like finding out why I was here, what was my meaning, what was my purpose. And so many people who reach a pinnacle of success are still searching for that because they haven't stopped to figure out, like, who am I and why am I here?
Is there like a simple way? I know that, this can take years, and I've also been on this spiritual path in my recovery, for a decade. And it's like on some level, I know that those are the things that fulfill me. And yet I still strive. And I think that you can do both. But if somebody feels like, they are that colander and they're just not experiencing anything, and I think that is totally normal, right? It's like the goalpost keeps moving. We achieve one thing and then it's like, it's not enough or it's on to the next. And we're constantly on that hamster wheel. How can we slow down or pause or feel that or enjoy that? Like, how do you celebrate everything? And what does that look like? I mean, how do you experience that?
I would find out why it doesn't feel like enough. So one of my core wounds was unworthiness. It was something that drove me. And it's actually probably most high achieving people's thing that, drives them. I do believe we have 3 core wounds: unworthiness, betrayal, and abandonment. And one of those are sometimes striving, and it's our unhealed little self sometimes that's at the steering wheel. Now, if we can find out which one, or maybe all, are affecting our growth or a feeling of I'm enough, then we'll change the narrative of how we do things. We'll stop getting into toxic relationships. We'll start attracting the right clients. We'll have better relationships with other people, including ourselves. And so when I figured out that I was worthy of all the things in life, my standards raised on what I could achieve. So fulfillment started coming in. I can look at someone's bank account right now or their business, and I can see how much money they're making. And I can tell you what core wound is actually playing out in their lives.
Wow.
I can look at their relationships and see what toxic patterning is repeated over and over again. I can see people who are successful, and I can see what their money mindset's coming from one of these core wounds. So it's a driver because it's never enough, right? And let's say that you've had some betrayal. If you can figure it out and where it is, what the point of entry it came into, because it got compounded over the years, then you can decide. And sometimes it's a betrayal of yourself. Or it could be your father or your mother or somebody or a friend. When you can find that, you're like, okay, well, I know that not everything is going to betray me. I can actually feel happy with this thing that I have now. Because it's the fear of disappointment that we're trying to guard ourselves against. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be disappointed. I don't want let down because we don't know how to regulate our emotions. So I don't want to feel sad over this. I'm going to try and plan the entire thing out so I don't have any level of disappointment. But imagine if you could be like, I just walked down the street. I went and had the most amazing tea. I did this. And it wasn't actually a planned day. And it was actually one of the best days of my life. Like, I leave life open for chance. I stopped planning everything. I have a saying in my business called messy makes me millions. I stopped trying to control. I gave up perfectionism because it's like a scarcity mindset. And I decided whatever was going to happen with a plan in some place, but whatever is going to happen, I'm going to just go with the flow and enjoy every single moment and be supported, being open to receiving what the universe, God, whoever you identify with is going to come my way and my life changes. So that's richness to me. Before I couldn't even fathom that.
Mm-hmm.
Every detail of my life had to be like organized, scheduled. But the more that I opened up, I lifted the limits and the ceiling of what success looked like for me.
What did it look like when you started making money?
A lot of my belief systems started popping up
Mm.
because I had more money to do things. So every time I started using money, it was like, oh, okay, shoot. I started seeing where hiring a team, like, having support, I realized that I had a hard time letting people help me because I was so in that wounded masculine state that most women that I work with are, the control freak, having things to be perfect. And I had to like let go and delegate and not micromanage everybody and really just allow someone to come and support me because being vulnerable was so hard and letting anybody be in my space. And it just felt like it was a weakness, And so having money and using it the right way, in my opinion, was amazing. So another thing that I would tell you that I started seeing that the more that I made, the more things I could do and the greater the vision could come. But I also saw that some fears came up. Like if I made too much, like what this all could go away right now, and what will happen then? And then I had to rewire my thoughts of like, you had nothing at one point, remember? So more is coming. So you have to start believing into the more. Being okay with the ebbs and flows of how money came into my life made me realize that I didn't have to strangle it and hold on to it so tightly, that if I could find more safety in the movement of it, I regulated my nervous system not to feel so much fear around where would it go. And now I can do great things. Like, I mean, my kids, we have the most fabulous life. They don't even remember when we didn't have. We fly all over the world first class. We live so good. We have good dinners. And my kids still want jobs. They still want to work. And I feel like I've changed generational wealth with them. I feel like now I've shown other people what's possible. Like, money's just an energy. It's just a piece of paper. And it's never about the piece of paper. It's always about what that piece of paper, who provided it to you first, made you feel about the piece of paper. Like when women have good relationships with their fathers, I already know they know how to make money. I already know. That they feel safe.
Yeah.
So they don't have to worry about it. When guys have like usually the toxic guys, that have, the type I'm talking about. We've all been there and dated that.
Oh, yeah.
They look good. They have abs. Nothing against abs. Yeah. So anyway, so with those ones, they have a strained relationship with their mothers. They weren't nurtured correctly. And so they always have like that one hit wonder of how they're going to make money and but they just don't know how to feel. The money's never enough to fulfill them. And so you see the patternings. It's so easy. Like I see black and white. Like it's so easy for me.
Where does somebody who might be listening to this, who is a stay-at-home mom, or somebody who is not a mom, but they're in a relationship and the man is the provider, like where do they fit into this conversation if they're like, well, I don't want to be the person to make money? I don't know if they do fit in this conversation.
All money's money. So if someone's providing for you, accept it and receive it. It's whatever meaning you assign to it. If you want to go make your own money, make your own money. If you want to stay at home and have them take care of you, then do that. Don't judge yourself for whatever it is. Like, I feel there's so much judgment that goes around how money comes into our lives. If I find a penny, I pick it up and I treat it like I found $1 million on the ground. It's what our relationship, find out what your relationship is with money and what do you want it to be. So when I was receiving for like a couple of years, alimony from my ex-husband, in my state, I can get it for life. And I only asked for, we only agreed, it was a contract. So I only got it for a couple of years, but it was perfect because it helped me get where I needed to be. And, but I felt like a lot of guilt at first receiving it. But I was like, I actually was a partner in this relationship with 2 kids. It's okay for me to receive this. And once I rewired that all money is money, and I didn't look at it like a shameful place, it was okay. So if she's at home listening, if you have a big dream inside of you and it's unfulfilled, that would be the question I would ask yourself. Is there a purpose that you came here to do? Is there a book that you wanted to write? Maybe you wanted to go out and start a podcast. Is there something, message you want to share with the world? Start there. Where's that wealth factor that you want to add to the world in abundance? And if you want to stay at home, go do it. I just felt like when I hit rock bottom and I hit the place, then I knew what I was made of. Then I knew what I could bring to society. Then I had to find out, who am I and what am I going to, how am I going to change the world? Because then it was like, it's go time, because there was no time for me to sit at home and be in this very neutral, complacent state where I was comfortable. Now it's like I had to get super uncomfortable to find out. So if you like being uncomfortable, you like being comfortable where you are, then keep doing it. If you want to be uncomfortable, then do something else.
How have things evolved since then? Like you alluded to having times where you're not making as much money, but not really getting too concerned about that because you believe that it will come back. How have you experienced that? And like, how has your mindset evolved from when you did hit rock bottom, but you did believe that it was going to come, to now?
Well, now I just know money's everywhere. It's sitting on my shoulder. It's on your shoulder. It's for all of us. So right now, I have to tell you, I had this moment, like, I don't know, it was like a couple weeks ago, and it hit me. I'm like, till the day I pass in this lifetime, I know I will never have an issue with money again. It's become so neutral in my life that I also know how to make money. So if I want to make it, if I want to manifest it, however, because I'm a master manifester, everything I want, I manifested, but I mean, with action. It's not like I just sat there and like, drop the money and bring it in, like I did something to do it. But because I have created such a beautiful connection with the belief system and the frequency and the energetics around what wealth and money is, it comes to me. So I think that's like the top part. Like when you can get to a place where having it or not having it, you're going to be okay. That to me is complete power over the situation. So what do? You find out where the belief systems are that are stopping you from believing that you can have that neutrality when it comes to not having the fear of or the fear of it going away. I spend money now. Like I will not sacrifice standards for anything. Like if there's a 5-star there, your girl is going to be setting up for it. I take my Uber Black. I do whatever it takes. I mean, if I fly, private jet, whatever it is, I mean, we're going to go to the nicest restaurants. I know what luxury feels like. And this is not about being so bougie that you can't eat like somewhere else. I mean, I'll go to the local places, but it's like, what do I want? What do I desire? I will not let how much money I have determine the experience I want to have. And to me, that's me making decisions, not money telling me what to decide. Because most people will say, I don't have money to do that. I don't know, it's too much money. And I will decide, do I want to spend the money on that? Because you actually do have a lot of money. You have more money than you can imagine. My daughter, we were going somewhere recently, and I went to buy her a bracelet, Tiffany's, for her birthday, and to match the necklace she had. And the price came up, and she said, "Wow, that's like a lot." I said, "Well, it's okay. I'm going to buy this for you." And she goes, "I don't have money for that." I'm like, "Baby, reframe that. You just got a job." She's like, "You're right, Mama. I actually do have enough money for it, and I could buy it." I said, "Yes, you could. You could." And so I said, "But you're just choosing not to because I'm buying it for you." But that's what we usually do. We think that we don't have enough for the experience. So I let the experiences lead me. If I want to go have, a 10-day experience in Italy, I start imagining what that would feel like and put myself into that state of, and the money usually comes in. I never chase money. I never ask for more money. I just want to live my life the way I want, as big as I can envision it. And that to me is like that's connected to your soul self. Then you start energetically connecting to that. And that's when the wealth comes in. Like my brother's a doctor. He thinks completely different from me. He's very linear. And I don't know. I think it's because they graduate medical school with like a lot of debt. They already have that scarcity mindset.
Yes.
But when you can start shifting over into the possibility, anything's possible.
It's so interesting because it's so like contrary to what we've been taught, which is don't live beyond your means, right? I don't know. I don't know that the word would be scarce, but like be protective about your money. Sensible. Exactly.
Sensible.
Yes.
Be sensible.
Yeah. And this is like the opposite.
Don't waste your money.
Yeah.
My mother used to tell me that when I started making money, my mom goes, don't waste it. Like, and when she said I was going to Europe, she was with me for a couple of days. She goes, well, don't spend all your money over there. I'm like, Mom, even if I tried to spend all my money over there, I couldn't even do it because I have so much now. And she said, but I said to her one time, she said, don't waste your money. I said, Mom, please don't ever tell me that ever again, because that was a mindset where you came from. I go, money
Mm.
cannot be wasted. I go, it's just an energy. It gets renewed. And she's
Mhm.
like, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I'm just a mom. I want to make sure, she just wants to make sure I was taken care of and I was
Mhm.
okay. And I said, having the mindset that I could waste something or I could lose it or that it would go away would keep me in scarcity.
Mhm.
So now if I know it's always there, and obviously I spend what I have. I'm not telling people to go out there and just like go
Credit
down
card debt.
DoorDash Drive and chinging it all up in the place, like, cause
Yeah.
you have, but start small.
Yeah.
I used to go energetic shopping and I would go online and I'd go to Chanel and I'd like go to Louis Vuitton and I'd go to, all the places and I would just pop things in my cart and I would start feeling what it would feel like. Even before I bought my G-Wagon, I would go there and I would design it online.
Mhm.
Like, what would it feel like to purchase this? And as I started buying things that way, it became my reality because the universe doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. It's your subconscious mind that's programming you to believe the possibility and what could happen for you. You obviously could manifest a life that you wanted because look what you created as well. You know what I mean? Because you
Mhm.
didn't have the belief that it wasn't there.
Mhm.
And so then it became my reality because I started. So what I would tell people to do is go energetic shopping, but then maybe set a budget for yourself. Maybe start with like $20 or $100 and you go buy the thing that you want. Do you know how satisfying that will feel? Like, because you're not just buying it because, oh, I need it. Or you're not just buying it because it's a good deal. Like I was good deal Debbie, like all the time shopping. If it had a red tag on it,
Mhm.
your girl was buying it. And even if I didn't even need it, and maybe it didn't even fit right, but I'm like, I'll fit into it. I'll buy it later. But
Mhm.
now I buy things, and don't get me wrong, I love a good deal. Like,
Mhm.
I still do. But now I'm like, if I want something, I just satisfy that feeling. And then that creates the abundance feeling. That creates the attractor of more. That creates, the universe saying, give her more because look how happy she is with what she's got, you know? So if you want the extra scoop of guac, is that $2 really going to break you?
Yeah.
Go get it.
Yeah. I know. I had Ramit Sethi. You know him?
Oh, is that
I
the
will
guy
teach
that?
you to be rich.
Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, he talks about like budgeting and investing and things like that, but he also says save mercilessly on the things that you don't love and spend mercilessly on the things that you do love. It's all about like creating your rich life. What is your rich life to you? Your rich life is probably different from my rich life, which is probably different from Ashley's rich life, and it's like getting down to like what does that look like? And he's always like, it's not about like not getting the avocado toast and like the latte, which is what we've been fed for so long. Like, oh, millennials are spending all their money on lattes and avocado. No, like, no. He's like, stop thinking so small.
Yeah, I preach. Go get the latte.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually that's my wealthy woman move every single day. I do because there was a time and place where that actually triggered me buying that. But now I know if I satisfy myself with that one little thing, which is just a couple of dollars, less than $5, and it can make me feel wealthy, go do it. Why would you sacrifice? I'm not the first person to tell you to cut that out. In fact, I'm telling you, keep that. Because so you save $5 or whatever over a month and you've saved that money. Like that, like the Dave Ramsey lifestyle, it's like scarcity. Like let's remove all the things that make you happy so you can live with less. Where I'm like, let's put our hands out and let's get more. Like, how can you attract more wealth and make more money and have more come into your space? And the only way more is going to come is if you are the attractor for more. So if you feel like you're in a strict restriction, you feel like you're in the less than, it's going to come to me. It's going to come to me.
Yeah, it's going somewhere.
Go use your good china. Bring out those gift cards. If people save gift cards for the right amazing purchase, are you really sure that $50 is going to get you everything? Go spend it. Feel it. Like, go receive what's coming out for you. Like, go enjoy your life. And I feel like most people are living in for the tomorrow. They're saving, they're shoving their money in their mattresses. They're so worried. They live in scarcity. When the world was falling apart, I was making millions because I was like, well, the environment that's happening outside of me is that's happening no matter what. I'm going to figure out how I can be the receptor for more and feel into. So the joy and the excitement goes back to emotional mastery is feeling that fulfillment with inside of myself and having more. So my wealthy lifestyle looks like this. I will set certain goals, like let's say, but I call them intentions, desires. And I will put them out and then I'll I do them every day. I set a declaration of my journaling every single day. I teach everybody to do this is when you write out what would your dream life basically look like without any limits. So, whatever it might look like, you might be going to, I don't know. I can't even think of other places, but I'm going to them now. So but at the point in time, they weren't. Flying first class was one of the things that I wanted to do with my kids, traveling all over the world, and write them out, and then start imagining yourself into that state of. Then what I would do is go start actually taking action with one of them. What small state that you can get into. And for me, it's like, there is no limit. Like if I can imagine it, that means it's there for me to go live. And when a lot of the times people look at a vision, I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's actually, that's the one that you have to put on your dream board, or you have to, like, I have a screenshot of my phone. I don't know what's over there, but where I put all the things that I want on there, and all of them but one is coming true right now.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Crazy.
it's because people put like their kids and their dogs on there. I'm like, you already have that. Put the things that you want. So every time you pick up your phone and you're looking at it, your subconscious is getting a program. Like, that's the life that I'm actually creating for myself. So for me, the sky is the limit. Like, I want an assistant to come with me. If I want, what am I going to create? I'm going to go do it, and the money will come.
I had this crazy experience this past week. I was traveling and I made a vision board in either end of December or beginning of January, right before I got divorced. I knew I was getting divorced.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah. And I made a vision board just on my Pinterest of like what I wanted my life to look like, to remind myself of like that it was not my reality anymore. Because sometimes I would be like, well, I'm comfortable and this and that, and all the reasons why like maybe I would stay. And I was traveling this past week with a boyfriend and we were on Martha's Vineyard, and I took a picture, and 2 days later, I hadn't looked at my vision board in a while, and I was like, oh, I want to look back, because I remembered like I had all these things of like being on the East Coast. It's where I grew up. And I looked and I had pinned the exact picture that I took, like the exact photo I took as the one that I pinned. Like, it was so crazy. And people were like, well, that's just because you went on vacation. I'm like, no. Yeah.
No. Wayne Dyer says there's no coincidence.
Yeah.
There's no you created your reality.
It was wild. And then there was another one because we were in Capri a few weeks ago. Same picture, Fontanella Beach Club, that I had pinned back then. And it's like, yeah, you could look at it from that mindset. And that's what a cynical person probably in a scarcity mindset would do.
Absolutely.
It's, oh, okay, big deal. You went on vacation. It's like, no, it's so much. It's so far beyond that. It's not just the vacations. It's like this whole reality.
So imagine if you took that thought like even further. You wrote, I always say, ride the wave of it. Imagine if you believed all the time you create your reality. Every single moment of the day, you'd be creating your reality. Then you'd be like, okay, I have the control to feel what I want to feel in any situation. If I want to be upset right now, I can be upset, and then I can let it pass, and then it doesn't have power over me. You get to go create, like, next week I want to go here. And then so you did that. You started imprinting that belief system that you were going to go there, and bam, you did. So I feel like we all started doing that. And that means it gives us the power to have what we want. Like, I will tell my clients, how much money do you want to make per month? You know, let's say $50,000, $100,000 or whatever it is. I'm like, all right, so what would it feel like? What would you do with that money? You know, and then start telling the universe or whatnot, where the money would go. Oh, I would do this with it. I would do this with it. I mean, you can't just all save it. What are you saving it for? You know, like, you hire somebody, go enjoy your money.
Yeah.
And so when they start doing that and have that connection to it, of course more comes because you've lifted the reins off of what the possibility of more wealth can look like in your life. I mean, you already have a boyfriend. I got to work on some stuff here. We need another show for that.
Happened a lot faster than I thought it would. But
that's but you probably were manifesting that, you know, having that person in your life, you know?
Yeah. I wrote my ideal. My ex and I separated in 2022 for 6 months. And I wrote an ideal partner, literally everything down to like very weird specific things.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was telling my team member earlier, I'm like, every man I've ever wanted, once I see him, I always get.
Yeah.
And I think it's just like, if you have the belief, I always get what I want, it's so much more powerful than the poor me of like, oh, it's just for everybody else. That's not fair. Or, you know, and I feel like that unfairness thing makes people believe they can't have what they want.
For sure.
But you already have the belief, I get what I want. Right?
Yeah. I always say, like, I've always been kind of Delulu. I don't know.
I am too. So you have
but it's worked out so far. Yeah.
You have to be Delulu, because if you live in reality, you've already manifested this. This is your outcome. If you look around you, you created this. But if you don't like what you see, then have a different thought and create something else.
Yeah.
You know, if your bank account doesn't look great, like my bank account was on life support. If you saw it now, I went to the bank to get some money to go to Europe, and they're like, oh, you're like the premier, blah, 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 platinum. And they were falling all over me at the bank. They're like, it's amazing. I mean, to think in just a short period of time, by changing the way I think and feel about money, healing myself, I opened up so many more doors of what life could look like, and I'm aging backwards.
Yeah, you are.
Like, I don't have Botox in my face. I don't have no fillers. I have nothing. My
Wow.
skin is not crippy yet. You know, like when you see some 50-year-olds, I
Yeah.
mean, no offense, they have got some crippy skin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know, the 26-year-olds think that I'm younger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have no business talking to me though, but
no, you really do. You really do. So powerful. Tell everybody where they can find you and listen to your podcast and work with you and all of that.
We have a podcast called Unapologetically Rich, and you should go take a, listen there, women and men to listen to it.
So many great topics, by the way.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear. And we have, we just started up on YouTube, and I've got a lot of great videos on YouTube, which is amazing. And I've got a book called Unlocking the Quantum Woman. And this book, actually men have been reading it too, which is amazing. And I've got a copy for you.
Thank you.
This book, it's going to help you really start getting into the mindset and the emotional state to go create reality and change your relationship with money and the things that you want to do. I take you through the journey and the story. And I'm telling you, every person that's read this book, that it's life-changing. I wanted it to be a book that you read and you gave to someone else. Also, come follow me on Instagram, Shamina Taylor, and you can go join our Facebook group called The Quantum Woman. And we've got tons of freebies, tons of stuff. I love supporting the community and growing into a richer mindset because you get to be unapologetically rich.
Amazing. And we will link everything in show notes. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.